So I'm in the 5th grade, and it's the day of the big race. Jan Michael Vincent and Scott Mintz, these were the two fastest kids in the 5th grade, and it was their day to finally settle it. Who was the fastest of the two? It was field day, end of the year, and this was the main event, the race. And I got to be a part of it. They picked me to be the guy who said, ready, set, go. And so it's my job. I'm the one. I'm so excited. I'm up for the challenge. And so I'm standing on the field. Everybody else is lined up, listening to me, waiting for the moment for me to say, ready, set, go. And so Jan Michael Vincent and Scott Mintz, they take their spots. They crouch down. Everybody's quiet. And then all of a sudden, it's my turn. And I say, ready, set, ghost. And I did it. I pulled the ghost card, where you say ghost or goat or whatever, anything but go. And Jan Michael Vincent and Scott Mintz took off running, and then they realized what I did, and they stopped, and I got booed. Like everybody in the 5th grade booed me for saying ghost. I just blew it. It was my moment to shine, my moment to be part of history, and I blew it. I just wasn't the right guy for the job. Have you ever felt like that? Like you were given a big job and you were not the right person for the job? Like when you get married and you're exchanging vows, and even as you're saying vows, it's going through your mind, am I the man to give this woman everything she deserves? Or when you have kids and day 3 rolls around and you're walking out of the hospital, you know that feeling where you're carrying your baby out and you're thinking, they're just letting me walk out with this child. Am I the person for this job? Or maybe it's like when a friend calls you and is in need of just a shoulder to cry on, someone to pour out their hearts with, where they've gone through something traumatic or painful, and it's just so big, you don't know if you have the words. You know you don't have the words. Am I the person for the job? But it's not just spouses and kids and friends. It's God. Jesus has something big for us as well. And the question for today is, are we the person for the job? You know what else is a lot? Harry Truman, our 33rd president, he signed 896 executive orders. And that feels like a lot to me. 896 times that he signed something, he issued something, he instituted something that would change the world around him. Sometimes it would change the world for one person, like when he would give a medal to someone who had done something brave in battle. Sometimes it would be an executive order that would change the world for a lot of people, like when he raised minimum wage. And sometimes it would be an executive order that would change the course of history, like when he abolished segregation in the military. But with everything that he did, one executive order looms over all else. June 26th, 1945. This was the date that he signed something, he issued something, he began something that would change the course of history. It was bigger than anything he had ever done, more impactful than anything he had ever done. It had changed the world in a more profound way than anything else in his presidency. It was that day that he decided to drop a bomb on Japan, and it was this that changed everything. Every word of Jesus is so impactful. It's impactful for us as individuals. It's impactful for our communities, and it's impactful for the course of history. But as impactful as the words of Jesus are, there was one word that rises above all else. One word that he spoke that looms over all else that he gave us. In Matthew 28, he says, go. Matthew 28, he says, go and make disciples. And it was this that was his executive order. It was this where he was calling us to something beyond what we had ever done in our pursuit of him. Because you and me, we have been given this great calling where we are commissioned out to lead other people into a closer relationship with Jesus. That we're supposed to take our lives and our walk with Jesus and transfer that to other people so that their walk with Jesus can be better than it has ever been before. And if you're like me, you can start to feel a little bit insecure. You can start to look at your life and think about all the times that you fail. You can think about all the times that your faith didn't measure up. You think about all the times in your relationship with Jesus where you doubted a little bit, or you struggled to pray a little bit, or where you knew there was something that wasn't as God-honoring and God-pleasing as it could have been. And when we think about those, and then we think about that word of Jesus, to go and make disciples, a question starts rising up in our minds. We start thinking about ourselves, and we start thinking about him, and we start asking ourselves that question. Am I the right person for this job? One of my favorite things are the P.F. Chang's lettuce wraps. I mean, these things are delicious. It's perfection every time you eat them. They're so good. Well, a while back, I got it in my head that I could probably make the P.F. Chang's lettuce wraps. I mean, after all, it's just lettuce and meat and some sauces, right? So I invited some friends over, and I promised them that I was going to give them P.F. Chang level lettuce wraps. You could probably guess how this is going. I tried my best, I watched my YouTube videos, but when it came out, it was not perfection. It was good, but it wasn't perfect. It was off. It definitely wasn't the level of lettuce wraps that they came to expect at P.F. Chang's. And so in some ways, I failed. It wasn't as good. It wasn't as quality. It wasn't as enjoyable as P.F. Chang's, so I failed. But in other ways, what I created, what I gave them, was something enjoyable. It was something that they were glad they were able to have. And in that way, I guess I succeeded. You know, following Jesus is about the try. Following Jesus isn't always about being perfect. It's about knowing that he has called us to something that is impossible. He has called us to resemble him and reflect him and to be Jesus to other people. It's impossible. But following Jesus is about the try. Knowing that the try transforms both us and the world around us. The try of Jesus is to go. It's to go and make disciples. This is the big, impossible call that he's put on our lives. And it is big, it is uncomfortable, and it's just really, really easy to not go. It's really, really easy to stay. And that's what we do. We exchange go and make disciples for pray that they will come to us. And the world needs prayer, that's true. The world is full of people who are hopeless and hurting and separated from the love of God, and they need prayer. But they need more than prayer. They need someone who will try. Someone who will look at them in their hurt and in their pain and hear the call of God on their lives and try. As Jesus said, I have been sent. Now I am sending you. This is intimidating, but what we take from this is that he believes in us, that he has put an impossible call on our lives. He's looking for us to try, and that he believes that we are the best person for the job.